Hi, my name's Neil Munday, and I'm your host for the Stirling Business Podcast. The podcast is brought to you from Studio King Street here in the heart of Stirling. You can book our wonderful studio by going onto our website and making a booking that way, or sending an email to inquiries@studiokingstreet.com. Or you can simply pick up the phone and give Laura a call to make your booking. So, over to this week's episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. So, Alaa Gerad, Stirling Centre for Strategic Learning and Innovation. Thank you for joining us at Studio King Street today.
Thank you. Thanks to you, Neil, and for your initiative and to your audience as well.
That's great. So, Stirling Business Podcast, we have listeners and viewers from across the Forth Valley in business, academia. We have startups, entrepreneurs, a number of different demographics listen to our podcast. So I thought the topic of the Stirling Centre today would be a very apt one, given that it's based here in the heart of Stirling. So I want to talk a little bit about the genesis and the background to that. But before we get started, Alaa, why don't you share with our listeners a little bit about you and where you come from?
Thank you. I'm originally from Egypt, and I used to work in the Middle East. I worked over 13 countries, traveled, and I used to have a franchise from a British organization for the MENA region. In 2012, I visited Scotland for the first time. And the first city I visited in Scotland, guess which city? It was Stirling. And the very first minute I saw Stirling and I was walking around here in King Street specifically, I told myself someday if I move to another, country or city, it will be Scotland. And since that day, I really fell in love with Scotland and specifically in Stirling. And what happened 5 years from that year, I made the move with my family, and we made Scotland our second home from home. When I decided to start the business last year, and I came to Stirling again, and we started with the Innovation Park at the University of Stirling, established Stirling Centre for Strategic Learning and Innovation. So this is the quick background, but I'm happy to answer about more details about what we do.
That's great. So, so your background before starting the Stirling Centre, you're a professor.
Yeah.
What is your doctorate in, and where have you specialised?
That's a nice question. I hope I can resist the urge to talk a lot about it, but I call myself academic. I'm a practitioner and academic. I started my career in the industry as a cost accountant. Then I got a master's in quality management. I worked in airlines and banking sector. So I gained a good industry experience. Then I moved to academia, where I have become assistant professor in quality management. But since that date, I always kept a leg in the industry and the other leg in the academia. The areas of knowledge or interest or expertise are basically around, you can say, 3 topics: quality management and standards, organizational learning, how companies, organizations learn, and people, human capital, or as we traditionally we call them, human resource. But we don't like to use the word resource when we describe people, so we say people. So this triangle, or these 3 areas, that formed my career, my interest, and all I do is about these 3 areas.
So prior to the Stirling Centre, we'll come on to that specifically, were you consulting in all of these areas? Is that typically what you were doing with an academic hat on as well as a business hat?
Yes, I've done consultancy to big organizations such as Jumeirah Group in Dubai, Cleveland Clinic, Emirates Airlines, several international organizations. Done consultancy, but also helped them to codify their knowledge and put it in manuals, standards. And that what helped me now to develop international standards was the British Standard Institution. We just got one launched on 10th April on organizational learning. It's not only consultancy also, but we do assessment. I used to do assessment against frameworks such as EFQM, European Foundation for Quality Management, Investors and People. So I'm the only Arabic-speaking investors and people assessor and advisor. And I help to Arabize and translate the version of investors and people in Arabic. So I stopped counting after the number 600. So in my career, I assist and co-assist over 600 organizations.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
You don't look old enough, fella.
I love the assessment because it gives me a lot of insights and understanding when you see the good practice, and you also see, I don't say poor quality practice, but when people do it wrong. And I believe that we can learn from our mistakes as much as we learn from success, and learning from others' experience, which formed a good chapter in my book called The Learning-Driven Business, about benchmarking.
Okay.
So learning from others, regardless if it is a good experience or bad experience, that contributes a lot to knowledge.
And what is the name of your book?
It's called The Learning-Driven Business, How to Develop an Ecosystem Organizational Learning. It's published by Bloomsbury, and it made 6 times one of the top 100 books on Amazon.
Very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so the Stirling Centre, I think it's pretty obvious why it's in Stirling, based on what you previously said. So explain to the audience what that is, Alaa, and the genesis behind the project, and why you created it.
Absolutely. Stirling, I mean, since like millions around the world who watched the Braveheart, William Wallace film, I always got inspired by Wallace and Scotland in general. So when I started the center, I wanted it to be something from Scotland to the world, as simple as that. So why Scotland and why Stirling? If you look into the history, Scotland has a very rich heritage of innovation. If you look in the most, inventions that changed the world, it came from Scotland.
TV, telephone,
radio, MRI, the cloning, the dolly, a steam engine. So Scotland has a very rich, and not only in inventions, but in philosophy and in thinking, and the common sense school of thought by Thomas Reid. So I thought this is very inspiring, and I personally get inspired by Scotland. Most of my writing and things, I just come and walk around in Stirling and go to Edinburgh. You just walk around to just enough to be inspired. So I thought to build on this legacy and to contribute to reviving the legacy. So we are based in Stirling, but we cater for at least 20 countries. And the good thing being in Stirling and having an ecosystem around the university, Forest Valley College, and of course other universities also around Scotland, that gives us really wings and leverage what we do. The center basically is a common, a think tank and act tank as well. So we have a team of, if you look into our advisory board, we have 31 subject matter experts from over 20 countries. They guide us, they help us, sometimes they work with us as well. In addition to other 40 associates, we work around 4 areas. We summarize it in the acronym LIFE, L-I-F-E. It's learning, innovation, future, foresight, and excellence. So these are main areas of knowledge we work around. And these areas, if you think of it, it cuts across every industry. Every industry need to learn. They need to be more innovative, especially with the challenges we have nowadays. And maybe the topic of futures foresight, my mentor, Professor Jeff Gold, is not only one future, it's multiple futures. So with futures foresight, we help organizations to try to predict and see what the future looks like. Not only this, but we can create the future. We can shape the future. So they're quite proven techniques that can help organizations to shape the future, to make it happen. And as Deming said, people do not mind to do their best, but they need to know what to do. So that's the remit of the center, that we help leaders, organizations, and governments to see the good practice, and we guide them how to get it done. But not as a typical consultancy, like we go and do it for them. Actually, we do it with them. That's why we have a very mature mentoring system. We have a proven and accredited certification to have internal consultants, so they have their own capacity to maintain the momentum and thrive. And if we do these three together, learning, innovation, future foresight, we don't need to do anything about excellence, because it will come naturally. That's what we.
And is it typically countries and very large corporate institutions that you're typically working with?
So far, we do have larger institutions, but we have a special interest in SMEs, small and medium enterprise, and we focus on SMEs. Even we established a learning forum called Thomas Reed Learning Forum, and it's catering only for SMEs. Why is that? Because I find the SMEs sometimes really want to do things, but they don't have the capacity, they don't have the expertise. And if you look around, over 90% of companies around the world are SMEs. In some countries in the UK, it's even more than 90. I want just to be accurate. It's
the
over
beating
95.
heart of the British economy.
Exactly. So these organizations really need support, and because they are small, they are agile. I find it even more rewarding to work with SMEs because they thrive to improve. They want to get things done, and I enjoy working with SMEs. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So that kind of leads us in terms of some of the course content and the deliverables that the Stirling Centre delivers. So can you talk a little bit about, the number of specialized courses and the types of courses that you deliver, and how they would effectively scale down into that SME sector, as well as obviously what you're doing in the corporate space?
Okay. We have a set of certificated training courses, that bespoke courses. We develop them on need basis to cater specific gaps. So it's not a traditional, kind of soft skills courses or one size fits all. So for example, I would say our flagship course called COLP, Certified Organizational Learning Professional. And from the title of the course, you see how we help professionals to learn that learning techniques that can solve problems, that can improve their performance. And
would they typically be directors and leaders of those businesses?
There are levels of versions of the course. One is, we call it the vanilla product, that fits for learning and development professionals, HR, performance professionals, those who get the job done and they learn how to learn. That's basically, it's a 48 hours course plus 75 self-learning, AI enabled. Those people who will do the work, they get their hands dirty, get the job done. But we have a lighter version for leadership, because we know they don't have much time to spend 2 months training. So I have a short course of 12 hours for the senior management. They need to understand this, because if the senior management do not appreciate the learning or the culture change, it will be hard to the second and third layer to get the job done. So there is a light version for senior management, and there is a condensed version for the professionals who do the job.
Okay.
There is also a version in between for middle management.
The level 2 manager.
Exactly. The middle management. Yeah. There is another version for the middle management. And the good thing, after we finish the training, there is no exam. There is a capstone project where professionals say what they're going to do after they finish the course. That's their assignment. So they write a project on which tools they plan to use, why they want to use these specific tools, and how this aligned with the needs of their business. And once they finish this, we assign them a mentor for 6 months.
Okay.
And the mentor works with them closely to help them implement what they said they won't implement. And this is complementary. It's part of the training. And to give you a flavor of mentors, we have AI experts from Cambridge University, from reputed organizations. In our pool of mentors, we have 3 former ministers. One of them is a digital transformation minister in Slovenia. So I have quite subject matter experts who are keen and passionate about learning and helping others to get the job done. And that's why I don't want to brag, but I'm proud that we don't spend much on marketing because our graduates, our alumni, they are our marketeers.
Okay.
And if you allow me, I want also to add that after they finish, we invested an app. It's not ours. We subscribed to an app, and we created a virtual community called Stirling Learning Clan. So we have our clan of learners. So all the graduates, alumni, they become part of this network. So they can talk to each other. They can get some experience from another country.
Irrespective of what they've come to the centre to learn or...
No, irrespective. And now we're getting it wider because we have a membership scheme as well at the centre. So it's for individuals and for organizations. So also all members, they become part of this learning clan. And you can see, I watch, like I am there and I see people from South Africa talking to others from Brazil and from Scotland. Last month we all got inspired by someone who came from South Africa and said, guys, I started the business at the age of 65 and now I have 5 hotels, recruiting more than 250 people. Just told us the story, and really we all got inspired by this. And you can form your own space, so anyone can form a space and get people. So it's quite interactive and useful, really.
So how does your commercial model work then? So training, courses?
Oh yeah,
custom price or consulting?
Right.
Daily rates?
That's a very good question. That keeps me on track as well. Our commercial model mainly is from our products, key products, the training courses, plus the consultancy, bespoke consultancy and advisory work. We do some side revenue from conferences and forums, but I would say our flagship product, which just launched a few days ago, is the capacity building that includes consultancy and training on the standards that we developed. So we developed the first ever standard in the world on organizational learning, and it is our standard exclusively. We partnered with BSI, British Standard Institution, to be the exclusive certification body. So what we do, we conduct this, if you remember, I mentioned the COLP, the training. So we do the versions of COLP. We have also versions for healthcare, education, government.
The industry sector.
It's industry sector versions. So we do a lot of training, and it's of course paid training. But then we have a network in other countries, our trusted delivery partners. So they deliver the consultancy, the advisory on organizational learning, business excellence for companies to help them meet the requirement of the standard. And we work on a royalty basis. So we license them to deliver the services and we share the revenue. But also, we also bid for projects. So there is an initiative with the UK government called Take Local, where we plan to bid for Forth Valley, for example, on AI education. So we get also some grants and some funds for especially AI education and capacity building. And of course, the good news now was Erasmus coming back, where UK rejoined Erasmus. So that will open so many doors for Erasmus-funded projects.
Very good. So I kind of noticed, so we talked a bit about partnerships and how the ecosystem that you've developed. Touch a little bit more on your interaction with the universities across Scotland in particular. And you mentioned UK, you mentioned Cambridge there earlier on. So how do you work with the universities in your program?
The first training we conducted, that was last January, was Cambridge Service Alliance, part of Cambridge University. where we bring a C-level professionals, senior management, to attend the training here in the UK, where they can also have the chance to get immersive learning. So we visit companies and we see the practices they have. One of the important initiatives on our radar, where last February we visited Edinburgh University Bayes Centre, where they have incubator, and it's like the park we have here mainly for informatics and AI, robotics technology. So we try to link the academia to industry. And sometimes we work as a matchmaker. For example, a company in Dubai wants to learn some technique about sovereign narrative or specific AI tools. So we find the right partner here in Scotland, either from the technology park in Glasgow or Edinburgh, and now we approach the University of Stirling as well for some topics. So we have this network from universities, but also from colleges. So we work closely with Forest Valley College to cater for the industry. But there is something long term we started to plan as well, which is pathways. So the center works with Forest Valley College to develop pathways where students from around the world can study in their respective country a year or two, and they receive equivalent to higher national certificate or diploma. And then they can come to Scotland with the universities that has articulation with the college to get a top-up and do the degree
or master's on.
Yeah, that's not immediate, but this is something in on the long run. We are
nice pipeline
preparing for pipeline, exactly.
Yeah, for students. And I noticed from your website that you regularly run conferences, events, webinars. I guess, is that more from an educational point of view? And if so, how can we get people across the Forth Valley and Stirling in particular involved in those?
Absolutely. We keep updating the website and our also social media, especially LinkedIn. We have several forms of events. Some are webinars that run online, like the one I mentioned, Thomas Reid Forum, that caters for SMEs and selected topics. So we get subject matter experts to deliver 2-hour seminars, actually 1.5 hour webinar every month. But then we have the transformational traveling training. This is a paid training, but it happens like a retreat. The one we're running next month in Albania, for example, it's for health tourism. So it's about the standards and the best practice in health tourism. And we keep moving. Like sometimes we have it here in Stirling. We bring people to Stirling. Sometimes we take people to other country to see other practices. So we have this immersive courses, the retreats. Forums and conferences can be hybrid as well, or online or in person. The next one we have will be in Pristina in June. We have another one in Malta. We have one here in October in Stirling. But conferences is more about awareness, is more about education, and we do our best to get it sponsored by some organizations, so delegates do not need to pay, so they can attend and gain the knowledge and meet people and networking.
Great. Okay. So in terms of just for our listeners and viewers, are there any asks of the Stirling and Forth Valley community that you'd like to put out there? Where can people find out more about what you do at Stirling Centre as well?
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you, Neil. Of course, in terms of presence, we are based in the Innovation Park at the University of Stirling campus. Our website is stirlingcentre.org.uk. So I encourage the audience to have a look on the website to see also our social media, especially LinkedIn. But I have actually a call for the business in Stirling. We look for more flexibility. Like comparing to other countries, for example, I can book hotels on a short notice. I can have more flexible policies for refund, more response. Generally speaking, it takes a lot of time here to get a confirmation from a hotel. And you are an exception, Neil, was King Street Apart Hotel. We get very responsive, very immediate response. But when we approach other entertainment providers, like booking a cruise in Loch Lomond or booking a hotel, it takes time to get a response. And also the refund policy and policies are a bit rigid comparing to other countries, where, for example, I book hotels in Balkan, I can book just using a WhatsApp message or email, and they are more keen to, like, for example, I was in Pristina last week and I was staying in a hotel, and they called me before I go, said, how are you gonna to come from the airport to the hotel? I said, I didn't even thought of it. Say, we can come and pick you. And they do things this way, like
very proactive,
proactive, and exactly, and
preemptive.
Absolutely. So that's what I like.
Okay.
The way, and they keen and ask me about your opinion. How did we do? Smiling. They don't expect anything. And I was in the business center. It's open, like everything went smooth. And 1 a.m., the guy from the reception went and printed something for me. I said, I can't wait till the morning. He said, you never know what happens in the morning. Let me do it for you now. That kind of attitude that will make me go again and stay in the same hotel.
That's called customer service.
Exactly.
You would expect to get that everywhere, surely.
That's it. And it's a very mature area. I mean, one of our products, we are partner with International Customer Experience Institute, and there are standards on customer experience and customer service. So, but it's more about attitude.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen in Scotland, but other part of the UK, where the receptionist was just sitting in their seat in a 5-star hotel. He doesn't even stand up or acknowledge the presence of the guest. So these things, it makes a difference.
It makes a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your time, Alaa. Very intriguing topic. And Stirling Centre sounds like it's gone from strength to strength.
And I would like to offer something for your audience. We have a membership scheme. There is a fee for this, but for your audience, if they mention King Street podcast or your name, we're happy to give a 1-year complimentary membership for the audience of
that's a very nice offer. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we should definitely promote that together and get that message out on.
Absolutely, it's my pleasure
on the channel.
It's my pleasure.
So Alaa, thank you.
Thanks.
Don't be a stranger. Come back again.
I'm not sure I will.
And let's take care of some of these guests for you.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
So that brings us to another end of an episode of the Stirling Business Podcast. Thank you again to our guest this week. Remember to follow us on the YouTube channel, on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Until next time, stay safe.